the poster and it's not very furlable again.
People pay good money for like things to be unfurled, though, don't they? Because like you're then always going to have a corner. If it's too furled, you're always going to have a corner that's like rolling in.
Had I known. Going back in.
Now, normally, I'd jump in with a hello, patrons. However, what I am going to say is, hi, welcome to this week's Three Legs, Four Wheels F1 and Furling podcast. It's Paul here with...
Sean.
Chris.
And Kieran.
Just before we get started tonight, I want to say get well soon to Lee, who some of you may have noticed isn't with us anymore because of scheduling difficulties, basically, because his new daily conspiracy show, the clue is in the title, Daily, has left him with absolutely no time to do this, and he's moved on to probing other things. Doing other things. But he's not too well at the minute, so I'm sure all four of us wish him all the best, and hope he's up on his feet soon. Because apparently he's been having trouble with a knee.
That's not fun.
No,
but we'll keep you posted. And he's still around on various social media with various different hats on, most of them made out of tin foil.
Did you see that the singer Mia has released a tinfoil hat selection, like range?
What?
I was not aware.
MIA? Mia, MIA? Yeah,
Maya, I think, isn't she?
I thought she was just MIA.
I think she's MIA, but I think like her actual name is Maya.
Yeah, she's released a range of tinfoil hats. 99.9% protection from 5G Wi-Fi, and they're a bucket hat, and it's interchangeable inside and out.
Okay.
that Valtteri Bottas is what's next.
Yes.
That's how you market your niche.
But she can't market it during the Super Bowl because I think she's still banned from the Super Bowl.
What did she do?
She gave the middle finger to the camera.
Oh, what year did she play?
She was also with Madonna. She wasn't like the main. She wasn't the main feature.
No. She didn't give the middle finger to the camera. She had a digital malfunction.
Oh, of course.
Oh, I like it. Sorry, I've just furled.
I hope you wiped up after yourself.
I've achieved furling. Right, now I can podcast.
Right,
the World Furling Championships. Kieran has just furled for 3.
Oh, that's lovely furling.
You can tell we haven't got a race to talk about. Look, let's just wage war on Sergio Perez. Wednesday news. I knew hanging on till Wednesday would be the best idea.
Yeah, because we couldn't all do it before Wednesday.
No, the gods of podcast are smiling on us. Yes, Sergio and Red Bull have mutually parted ways.
Do we think there was a mutual paycheck involved?
Mutually parted ways. No ways. You don't turn up to your office a week beforehand with 2,000 bottles of tequila on a Luton lorry and then go, "Oh, I'm sacked." Oh, wow. At least it was mutual. I also didn't want to work for you anymore. Here's your tequila.
From my new exclusive sponsor, which apparently you don't want.
Yeah, fine. No Kit Kats for you.
It's all right. We'll have F1 Kit Kats rather than Checo Kit Kats. The tequila thing was odd. I mean, we should have seen it coming. He was wearing a Patron Christmas jumper as well.
You were still posting about Patron this morning.
I mean, he probably needs a stiff drink. I mean, I've recently left my job, and the first thing I did when I left was pour myself a scotch. Other whiskies are available.
Fair. He wasn't selling Patron on like Facebook Marketplace, was he?
On Instagram, on his Instagram stories, he was. I didn't watch it with the volume up, so I don't know what the message was, but it was very much, "Here's some tequila."
I mean, it's an all right tequila. It's just not worth getting sacked over.
Do you think that was a reason, though? Do you think it was the tequila which got him sacked?
Well, I mean, the last company that I used to work for, they always said you can't bring booze into the office.
Imagine though, like Milton Keynes, right? So
I try not to.
Yeah.
So like end of season, right? Okay, so it's just like we've got no work to do. We've done a fairly solid season. We got Max the Drivers' Championship, but it's not been fantastic in terms of the constructors. And then Checo rolls up with, what was it, 2,000 bottles of tequila and just hands them out. Do you think any work got done that day? I'm going to say no. I'm going to say the local Tesco ran out of salt and lemon.
We went to a gig a couple of weeks ago. Oh, there's like 10 Tesco's in Milton Keynes, by the way. They're everywhere.
Yeah.
It's like,
24-hour one that isn't 24 hours. I remember it well.
Yeah, 18 hours. We went to a gig the other way. We went to see Ivor Graham, and we drove past the Red Bull factory. They've got two separate factories in Milton Keynes. One's Bletchley, which is shithole, and that's the engines. The other one is over on the right hand side of Milton Keynes. It just goes on forever. It's about 500 yards long. It just goes on and on and on and on, that factory. I wouldn't be surprised if they have 2,000 people there in some capacity. But
Yeah, probably.
most teams have 500 odd people. I mean, 4 tequila bottles each. Merry Christmas.
Imagine if Perez was driving for Haas. Everyone would have needed their own truck to bring their bottles of tequila home.
Well, grab a pallet. Go on.
So yeah, the worst kept secret in Formula One is now officially out there that Perez will not be competing in the 2025 season with Red Bull. Is it 1, warranted? 2, a year too late? 3, well, it didn't happen on Tuesday at least.
Yes, it's warranted.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think the time is right, isn't it? I think if you look at his performances over the season, the reason they've not got the team's title is because he wasn't delivering. And I think we'd sort of talked about this a bit last year about whether or not his performances were up to standard, but they still won that title, so it didn't matter. But this year it has cost them, so I think the time is right.
Yeah, I mean, Christian Horner's made a big deal sort of in the last, I'd say probably the last quarter of the season, about the lack of constructors' titles when it became obvious that it wasn't going to be Red Bull and it was going to be probably McLaren, maybe Ferrari. And yeah, Horner was making a lot of comments about, we don't think we're going to get the constructors' title. There's a lot of unhappy people in the factory that aren't going to get the bonuses that we're expecting. Well, they got bottled tequila instead, but
it's
not the same.
Turn up the office with 2 bottles of tequila for me and saying, "Sorry about that big Christmas bonus, but hey, look at those. I'm holding them."
Right, better than a Freddo. You could be at McLaren and get them.
Oh, did they? Is that what that was then? They got Freddos.
Apparently, when during all the Honda period, when McLaren were absolutely shitbroke, they couldn't afford to give any bonuses, and they'd just come across like crates and crates of Freddos, and they were just handing them out to
What do you mean
members
they
of
came
staff.
across crates of Freddos? Like someone left them somewhere, and McLaren were like, "Hey, look."
Yeah, but inflation, they're like pricey now, aren't they? They're like they're about 50p for a Freddo these days.
God, they still should be 10p.
5.
Yeah, I'll give. Yeah.
I don't know what the going price for a Freddo was when I was younger.
But even still, like McLaren just thought, yeah, do you know what? Like, just give out loads of Freddos, I guess. That you may as well just not done anything. Gone, sorry guys, shit season, see you later.
For anyone that doesn't know what a Freddo is, it's a Cadbury's chocolate bar in the shape of a frog.
Mm-hmm.
No, it is the shape of a very surprised child dressed as a frog.
That's an important distinction.
Yeah, but that's like saying every sloth looks like it's a man in a sloth costume.
Oh, this is true. I mean, ignoring the picture on the front, you actually need to see what the chocolate looks like. The chocolate is not what the picture depicts on the front.
Tell you what,
Fred is international.
I don't know. Tell you what, Chris.
It feels
Yes.
like a very British thing, Fredo.
I think you need to do the second part of your occasional series of unboxing videos.
Occasional. The first part was 8 years ago.
And it's still to this day the most popular video that Three Legs Four Wheels have put their names to.
1,400 views of me opening a packet of hobnobs.
I will share the link in the show description because I mean it as we worked out tonight in a very quick survey, it's the most popular hobnob unboxing video on the internet.
I found my niche. I know my market. It's just a shame Sergio Perez doesn't really, isn't it? Maybe get back on track with the Formula One things.
I've just seen a comment online saying, "Don't be sad, it's check over. Be happy it Verstappened."
Oh.
That's my level.
So yeah, for the last 2 years he's had the mid-season slumps, but he's actually come back towards the back end of the season, and I think if he'd have done it this year,
He still would have lost his job.
if he'd have done it well enough to keep Red Bull competitive in the constructors instead of coming third, then there might have been a chance that he was going to keep his job. But it with every race and every cock up and every Q1 exit and every bit of barrier bothering, it was looking more and more unlikely. That cat is getting louder, I am convinced.
She is
It was
purring.
becoming unsustainable.
Yeah.
Perez, not your cat.
Yes.
Yeah.
The mid-season drop-off is something we used to joke about Sergio Perez from about 22 onwards, when after, I don't know, it got earlier every year. It was around Britain, Austria in the first year, and then it became Miami, and this year it was sort of Miami again.
It was still Miami from last year, though. He never really kind of came back from that.
Yeah.
No, I mean to be fair, he got podiums in the early season this year.
He got 4 podiums in the first 5 races. Bahrain second, Saudi Arabia second, Japan second, China third. And then after that, his best finish... Oh, Miami 4th. And his best finish after that was 6th at Zandvoort.
And that is not what you need in a team as cutthroat as Red Bull.
It equates to basically bloody useless, doesn't it? He retired from the last 2 races in Qatar and Abu Dhabi. Qatar, he spun and burnt his clutch or something. Or was
It was something like that, wasn't it? Yeah. It looked like a bit of a something and a nothing, didn't it? And he just never got going again.
And that's sort of the same as it was in Abu Dhabi. It was a bit of a something and nothing. A light turnaround from Bottas, and 3 cores later, Perez went, "Nah, sod this. Pub? Probably not pub." But he said, "Sod this."
Tequila bar.
Yes.
Tequila bar, yeah. In his time... Middle Kings.
Ninjutsu. See if anyone gets that reference.
In his time at Red Bull, he's finished 3rd, 2nd, and 8th. Which, if you 4th, 3rd, 2nd, and 8th. Sorry. Whereas if you consider it Racing Point / Force India, 3 years he beat himself in the championship in a Force India. No, that's
Certainly wasn't a Red Bull,
wasn't it? Yeah,
I kind of know what you mean.
Yeah. Beat the seat filler.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly that.
So obviously there were 4 competitive teams, weren't there, this year in Formula One? Red Bull, McLaren, Ferrari, and Mercedes for a small portion of the year. He's the only one of those 8 drivers who didn't win a race. He finished 8th out of those 8 drivers, whilst his teammate finished 1st. and he wasn't like close in points to 7th placed Lewis Hamilton. He was. Let's have a quick look here. He's like 70 odd points off, 71 points behind.
I mean, those 7, they didn't just win races; they won multiple races. I think all 7 of them
They all won
2 or
races.
more.
Yeah, Hamilton won 2, Russell won 2, Sainz won 2, Piastri won 2, Leclerc won 3, Norris won 4, and Verstappen won 9. So, and your first comparison is always your teammate, and there's the harsh reality of it. I mean, yes, they built the car around Max Verstappen. We've known that for many years. It's why Ricciardo left. It's why Albon and Gasly didn't work in that car. Perez kind of adapted quite early on, and I seem to remember when we were podcasting when Perez first joined, we were like, oh, okay, so maybe Perez can actually get on with this car. They just need an experienced driver rather than bringing in somebody like young. Well, that hasn't worked. Long term, it's just he's not been able to adapt and get on with the evolving car as it's been evolved. The massively dominant season of 2023, the most dominant season of Formula One ever. He should have had more of a role to play in that, but didn't. And then here we are, 2024. He is the reason Red Bull don't have that the Constructors' Championship this year.
Yeah, I mean, I think what he did last year, what Max did last year, I should say, in 23, sort of overshadowed the lack of understanding Perez had with the car, because don't forget, Max won the Constructors' Championship on his own.
Mm-hmm.
Pretty much, yeah. I think he did. I think his amount of points was more than any other team, wasn't it? So,
yeah,
it was.
Mm-hmm. I almost think that it almost in itself is what brought Perez this year, in that worst case scenario, he is not causing any issues for their lead driver. It's it's almost sort of the lesser of two evils, isn't it? If you've got someone who's a really distinct number 2, at least he's not like crashing into his teammate, and you don't have that sort of inter-team rivalry to cause.
Because he's nowhere near him.
Yeah, exactly.
Who was it? Who was 1994 Ferrari? Nicola Larini.
Oh,
yeah.
Mate. Can't remember. Was it a Lacey?
a Lacey would have been around then.
They were nowhere near each other, so they couldn't.
Nicola Larini started the season quite well, if I remember rightly, and then just tailed off completely as the season went on.
And then found himself getting replaced by Gerhard Berger.
Who he had replaced already, I think.
Yes.
I think. Oh, no, wait, hang on a second. Am I misremembering something here? Like, Lacey couldn't do some races, so Larini stepped in, and then Berger couldn't do some races, so Larini stepped in.
Ah, so it's like a three drivers, 2 cars.
Yeah, I think I need to Wikipedia this, because I don't think Lacey took part in Imola 94 because he had a neck injury.
And that's where Larini got his only podium.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm just looking this up and 94. Oh, he did the Pacific Grand Prix at the TI circuit in Aida, better known as Tsukuba these days, and the San Marino race.
There was the yes, because Berger and Lacey were 93, 94, and 95, and then did the switcheroo with Benetton, and were teammates at Benetton until Berger retired in 97.
I'd completely forgotten that Larini drove the first 5 races for Sauber in 97.
Wow.
I completely forgot Larini.
He was around for a while, yeah.
I want to say, is Nicola Larini on the F1 World Grand Prix game because he's in those first five races for Sauber?
He's on the F1 97, definitely, with Murray Walker. That's Larini.
Being lapped again.
He's going the wrong way.
Oh God, it's Proustian rush.
Yeah.
There has to be a soundboard out there somewhere.
A la recherche du Tomps lost in turn 3. That was a bit too highbrow for us. Can we bring it back down to our level, please?
I'm trying to find the craziest how crap was Perez this year stat. I think this is quite a good one. It's actually not that bad on paper. In 2020, Perez finished 4th in the championship with 125 races, 125 points.
Bloody hell.
Yeah, it's a long season. Every Thursday, every Friday, different track. This year he finished 8th with 152 points, so 27 points more this year. Well done, Sergio. You beat yourself in 2020. However, in 2020, he was in a Force India. There were 7 races less that season, and he missed 2 more on top of that because of COVID.
Yeah. Was it the 24? He scored less than a race win's worth of points from Miami until the end of the season as well.
It was some mad stat like that.
Was it 24 points, possibly 29 points? Should probably have my stats ready in front of me, but I don't.
I think he's done 43 points since and including Miami.
But how many were Miami?
Yeah, good point. That would be 12 points in Miami plus 6 more for the sprint.
So there we go.
That away, yeah. 20.
So 18 points. Yeah, a race win's worth of points since Miami.
Yeah, that's it. 24 points. So yeah, less than.
So they could have actually just taken him out of the car and put Lawson in that one at the same time as driving the RB.
might have been a little bit tricky driving them both at once.
If Helmut Marko says you can do it.
We're going to do a season review next week or around the Christmas New Year time, aren't we?
Yes.
But to dunk on Perez a little bit more, his season review is no good finishes since Miami, 6 in Netherlands, and his best chance for a podium was in Azerbaijan, where him and Sainz decided that 2 cars could be won on the final lap.
A lesser-known Spice Girls B-side.
When 2 cars become one in Azerbaijan.
I'm going to deliver tequila to you, baby.
Yes.
Maybe my idea of doing the season review over a few drinks has kicked off early.
But yeah, so the upshot of what we're saying is Perez has lost his seat. No one is surprised because he's been awful this year. He hasn't had an awful F1 career.
Welcome back to another
really
Autosport Q&A.
I was one of those, like when he was at Sauber, sort of 2012, and he finished second a couple of times. I was like, this guy is like, he's going to be on it. Give him a Ferrari seat or something and watch him fly. And he just never got that top car team until he got to Red Bull. And I think either the Red Bull was too temperamental for him, as you know, was found by Albon and Gasly, and it was too built around Max Verstappen, or his peak had just passed by then completely. Because I mean, what was he, 31 when he joined Red Bull, something like that? 32?
32.
Maybe about 30-ish.
31. It's a year older than me. How old am I?
I don't know, Kieran. You tell us.
I was thinking out loud. He is 30.
Deliver a parcel to you. Can I have your date of birth?
I was going to say, you're giving your date of birth out to everyone today, aren't you?
Yeah. Yeah. Anyway, here's my favourite childhood pet. Yeah, he was 31 when he joined Red Bull.
So I mean that is kind of that is old school driver peak, isn't it? In a way, because a lot of drivers used to hit their peak sort of like 27, 28, and then sort of tail off a little bit. But then with sort of the Schumacher and then Alonso and even like Kimi Raikkonen, sort of their peak came a bit later, and Lewis Hamilton as well. So he's probably past his best now, as is Fernando Alonso, but they're a lot older than Sergio Perez is.
I look at Hülkenberg. He's getting up there, and he's about to have his first factory drive.
Yeah,
essentially.
This is potentially a strong argument for when they were choosing between Hülkenberg and Perez to replace Albon back in 2020, before 2021. Maybe they should have taken Hülkenberg. Maybe the story would have been different. He might have been sacked within 2 years because half of Mexico don't love Nico Hülkenberg for any reason, but maybe maybe there would have been a shot for him at the big boy team.
Well, that's the second time Hulkenberg missed out on a massive seat as well, because it was between Hulkenberg and Hamilton for the Mercedes seat in 2013.
Yeah. And I think it was between him and Schumacher for the Mercedes seat in 2010. Have I made that? Sounds bollocks. I've made that up, haven't I?
I feel like he was linked to a Ferrari seat at one point as well.
Oh.
Like to the extent I think a contract was drawn up. I'm sure that was. I can't quite remember when that was and who got that seat, but I'm sure there was a sort of serious Ferrari move at some point.
He's quite the nearly man.
Yeah, he's nearly got on the podium many times.
Germany 2019, we're looking at you.
Heartbroken.
I mean, that was just a comedy race all round. The Mercedes pit stop where they didn't have the wing. When Vettel.
One of my favourite things from that race was Leclerc crashed at the slippy, slidey penultimate last corner area. He climbed out the car. They were showing the replays, and then there was a massive cheer from the crowd, and they're panning Leclerc walking away. And he starts waving at the crowd, sort of, yeah, I know, I'm out the car, but I'm out the race. But thanks for the cheers, lads. No, 100 yards down the road, Lewis binned it. They were cheering that.
Yeah, that was like the European Grand Prix that Johnny Herbert won. Nobody wanted to win that race. I think everybody on the grid had led at one point.
Bernardi on the podium at one point.
Yeah, there was. Yeah, that's actually one of my classic Grand Prix that I've written up for recording at some point. Yeah, there was at least one Minardi on the podium, and it looked like maybe possibly both of them could get on the podium, but it didn't happen.
But the other one was driven by Luca Badoa.
No, the first one was driven by Luca Badoa.
Was it Marc Genet or Gaston Mazzacane? It's that sort of era, isn't it?
It was Genet, I think, was the other one. Yeah, I think Genet. It was Genet and Badoa. I think they were running 4th and 5th, or 3rd and 4th at one point. And then, because some front runners had some bad luck at the beginning of the race, they came through and overtook, and Badoa broke down. So there was no podium for Minardi.
I mean, technically, he broke down twice because he broke down after he got out of the car as well.
He did, yeah. He did, yeah.
Just have a little cry next to my car now.
Yes, that's exactly what happened.
Right, so this shows how bad a season that Sergio Perez has had in 2024. We've just found out today that he's been fired, and we are talking about Luca Badoa.
And 1999, everyone. Okay, so, yeah.
So who next?
Yeah, so that's the thing, isn't it? That's the big question: is who goes in next, and how long are they going to stay? Right, it's got to be Liam Lawson, isn't it? That's who we're going to.
That's where you would the smart money would go there.
That's where the smart double decker is,
and that.
Yep. The reason that it's not going to be Tsunoda is he's backed by Honda, so he would be out of that car at the end of next year anyway, and he would be sent round the corner to Aston Martin with their shiny new Honda engines. And I think Yuki's going to end up as the Aston Martin test driver, even though he's going to be blatantly faster than Stroll and has more personality.
I'm faster than Stroll.
Yeah, if they're not swapping Stroll out for Drugovich, they're not swapping Stroll out for Tsunoda, are they?
No, not currently. The only thing I can think is that Aston Martin are doing a WEC entry, aren't they?
Yes.
Yeah.
Is it? I always get the names of the cars wrong. Is it the Valkyrie that's entering the WEC or the Valhalla? I get confused because they're giving all them cars V names.
I can't remember.
I think they've just launched the Valhalla, but I don't know if that's for WEC.
But anyway, they're entering WEC, and I was chatting with Selena before, and I was wondering if it is possible that somebody could have a word with Daddy Stroll and just be like, "Excuse me," but it's not going to happen in Formula One because whoever is in the other seat in this team is going to win the World Championship, even if this car's good enough. So maybe pop Lance in the Aston Martin might have a better chance in WEC. He'd still be a world champion. You will have made him a motorsport world champion with Aston Martin, just not in Formula One.
Yeah. Hire 2 good drivers to sort of drag him along.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean,
Brandon Hartley and Nick Tandy. just spitballing, but they are two quality endurance drivers. One of whom is very experienced, and the other one
would that be Brendan Hartley?
And I was going to say the other one's Brendan Hartley.
Yeah, but that's the only way I can see Stroll leaving is actually with this Honda tie-up with Aston Martin. Is that Honda pressurized a little bit more and say, no, you need to have some representative of ours in the team doing at least a couple of races a season. So I don't know which way it's gonna fall, but see, again, we're supposed to be talking about Perez and who's replacing Perez. We're now talking about Lance Stroll
in WEC.
Yeah, so
maybe Perez and Stroll could be teammates in WEC.
Maybe they could. That's not a terrible shout actually. But the RB Red Bull situation, I agree with what Paul said in our chat group a couple of weeks ago. I think it was when it was like, well, it's almost basically been confirmed because now Red Bull aren't denying it that Sergio Perez might leave at the end of the season. And it's just which RB driver is it going to be that goes in? And Paul replied, whoever it is will be out by Silverstone.
Yes, that seems reasonable.
Yeah, I mean, that second seat in Red Bull is the ultimate poison chalice.
Yeah.
So it's like, it seems a little bit too obvious to say this now, but Liam Lawson, I think he's been a little bit full of himself since he came back to Formula One this season. He was a bit nice and a little bit sort of, I'm the new boy, like when he replaced Danny Rick for the broken hand in 23. But since he came back in 24, he's been a bit bitchy. He's been a bit nasty to some people.
Yeah, there's a bit of a swagger about him, isn't there? There's a bit of a sort of ego beyond his achievements.
Exactly, yeah. Ego beyond his achievements is perfect because he's not warranted that arrogance because he's not. He had a problem with Alonso. Alonso's got a problem with him on track for some reason. It's all right. Alonso's not new here, Liam. I think he knows what he's doing. He had a problem with Perez to the point where he even threw him the middle finger out the car. It's like, what are you doing?
In Mexico, in front of his own crowd.
Yeah, he then decided to have a go at McLaren for not playing the New Zealand national anthem. It's just, Liam Lawson, everybody, making friends everywhere he goes. I get the feeling he's going to jump into that Red Bull seat and be... And I think he could turn it around. He could be brilliant, but at the same time, what I think is more realistic is that he will overdrive that car in the first few races. And potentially struggle. I would be happy if he proves me wrong.
I don't get where he looks at, where Red Bull look at the Verstappen Sainz thing and gone, oh, well, they didn't get on in 2015. We can't have those two back together in the team. That Liam Lawson's a lovely young.
Bless you.
Excuse me. Oh.
Yeah, no, I agree with Kieran there. It's like Sainz. Ooh, too much needle there. This Lawson chap seems subservient and like he'll do as he's told.
One word to describe Liam Lawson, it would definitely be subservient.
Yeah, exactly. It's another Red Bull recipe for disaster, and it might be short, it might be long term. I don't know. It could end up with Max Verstappen leaving and going to Aston Martin of all places. Yeah. That hasn't gone away, has it? That rumor.
No, I don't know. I'm just looking at Red Bull recent history, and it struck me, even though I kind of knew it anyway. It's been 6 years since a Red Bull driver left of their own accord.
And in that time, they've gone through Gaz.
Daniel Ricciardo.
Daniel Ricciardo was the last one to leave through his own choosing.
Yeah.
And yeah, since then, Gasly, Albon, and Perez.
But also in, Red Bull Juniors, whether they're called. I think of S Club Juniors, I don't know why. Who have we lost? Brendan Hartley. He didn't go, well, I've spent years trying to get to this, but I've had my fill. He got sacked. Then
Daniel Kvyat, the third time.
Yeah, Kvyat's been sacked many, many times.
Fool me once. Fool me twice.
Dan Ticktum.
Oh, Dan Ticktum.
There's loads. There's absolutely loads.
But he didn't get into a race seat, though, did he? I don't think.
He did not, that's true.
No. Jean-Eric Verne.
Oh yeah, that's going back a bit now. Though, isn't it?
Yeah. I mean, they've been demolished, but I mean, since 2018, yeah. They keep changing the bloody names.
The ones who've made it to F1 from the Red Bull Junior program are Christian Klein, Sebastian Vettel, Antonio Liuzzi, Daniel Ricciardo, and then Kvyat, Albon, Verstappen, Gasly. But down at Toro Rosso, those are the ones who've made it to Red Bull.
And Sainz.
Toro Rosso.
I was going to say, yeah. Go on.
We've got, it's quite a collection. Scott Speed, Sebastian Buemi, Jaime Alguersuari, Brendan Hartley, Jean-Eric Verne, Sainz, Sonoda, and Lawson. Apparently, those are the only ones.
Well, Christian Klein only made it into the Red Bull car because Red Bull paid for his entire career up to that point.
Yeah. Yeah, that's sort of how it works, doesn't it? But he was with Jaguar, wasn't he, as well? So he's a bit inherited.
Yeah, I wasn't he? Just looking.
Was he drove for Jaguar in 2004?
Just trying to find his details.
Oh shit! I've just realised I've got my dad and stepmom went on a cruise a few weeks ago, and they got given a selection of free books to take with them on the cruise, basically. And one of them was a 20-year history of Red Bull racing. It's this big chunky thing. When I saw them the other week, they gave it to me. And it's, it's a good flick through. It gives you the whole history of Red Bull. But at the end, there's detachable top trumps. And the top trumps are a fucking joke. Like, they rate Daniel Ricciardo's Red Bull career at 78. Sergio Perez, 86.
Ooh.
Max Verstappen, 87.
What?
You go, let's check this out again. Can we go through those stats again? Sure. Sebastian Vettel, 96. Well, yeah. 9 points higher than Max. 10 points higher than Sergio. I think Coulthard beats both of them.
Wow.
Whoa.
Well, he's still on the books, isn't he?
Yeah. Literally, he wrote this one.
Just going to come in with a quick jump cut, and going to talk about Magic Mind again, because I have now been trying it again for the second time for a good couple of weeks now, and it's definitely kicking in. I'm definitely feeling more awake and with it. And the easiest way to get hold of Magic Mind is by getting a subscription. It's the easiest way to stay on top of your game. You get the bottles delivered right to your door exactly when you need them. No hassle, no stress. Grab, sip, and conquer your day. If you're running low, you can order extra. And with the flexible subscription, you are always in complete control. So say goodbye to the coffee crashes and hello to a sharper, smoother, more productive you. Get your Magic Mind subscription at magicmind.com/wheelslt20 or use the code wheelslt20 to get up to 48% off a subscription. Believe me, as a Yorkshireman, saving money, definitely. So don't forget, it's magicmind.com/wheelslt20 or use the code wheelslt20 at the checkout. All right, back to the madness. I mean, Red Bull is in general a very odd beast, and whatever the second team is called this week, can we just go back to calling them Minardi? It would be a lot easier.
there were. I was trying to think of enough. There are a series of weird drivers. Well, not weird. No offense to you drivers, if you are listening. If you are, hello. But there were some odd names on there who were junior drivers for Red Bull, like Narain Carter-Kayan was one of them, I think, and Lauda's son was one of them, and Hoping Tongue for a while.
Hang on, there wasn't Sebastian Bourdais, a Toro Rosso driver.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, he'd already won. He'd already won two. What was it? Two kart championships by that point.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, because the Red Bull organization was made up of 3 Sebastians and Mark Webber at one point.
Yes.
Oliver Oakes was the next one, I think.
He of now Alpine.
Yeah. Bossage.
Yeah. Top
Robert
dog
Wicken.
at Alpine, yeah. Oh, Robert Doorknobs, wasn't he a Red Bull Junior?
He was.
Yes, I think he was. Yes, he had a long, successful.
Yeah.
No, he didn't.
But don't forget though, like Red Bull as well as like okay, so the people who aren't fans of Red Bull are like, oh, it's a drinks company, you got no heritage. No, but you know they own a lot of football clubs. They own a lot of well, they own 2 Formula One teams, and they've got like their name plastered all over rally cars and all sorts of other motorsports, and they organise a lot of extreme motorsports as well.
Also,
But,
I saw a former Chief Minister of the Isle of Man wearing one of their hats in Tesco today.
Oh dear.
Just an extra piece of
dear.
information.
So, but the Red Bull and Formula One, I think that goes back to the 1994 Sauber. I think that's the earliest I can think that. I think that was Jean-Christophe Bouillon and Heinz-Harald Frentzen in a Sauber were Red Bull sponsored, and Red Bull sponsored Sauber right up until I think they took on their own team in like 2005.
Yeah, and then they've been Sauber off. I mean, don't forget, it was the Red Bull Sauber Patronus.
Yeah, it was. Yeah.
Mm.
I have to have a quick Google of the 1994 Sauber now to make sure. But I'm pretty sure that's who it was in that Sauber then.
Yes,
Virtual Statman on the show when you need him.
yeah, because it had a Mercedes engine. It had an Ilmor engine in there because that was Mercedes' big comeback.
It wasn't
Did
94.
Fenwick drive
94 was
in-
black.
He had a big crash at Monaco straight after Senna's death, I want to say.
Who, Jean-Christophe Bouillon?
No, Cole Vendlinger, sorry.
Oh, Wendlinger did have a big crash, yeah.
Yeah.
I remember saying that I was in the pub.
Yeah, it was 1995. Yeah, it was Carl Wendlinger and Heinz-Harald Frentzen. But when Wendlinger underperformed, he was replaced by Jean-Christophe Bouillon. And the test driver was Norberto Fontana.
Oh God! Right, just so as I don't get corrected, Sebastian Bourdais had 4 Champ Car championships
Wow.
Good.
Email
by the
already
time he
in
ended
the
up in a Toro Rosso.
That email is deep in your inbox already.
Every time I get something wrong in American sports, I get reminded of that fact.
Which is why I sit here and just don't say anything about any of them.
That I didn't realise Karun Chandhok was in the Red Bull Junior program and was sacked after 9 GP2 races,
Ooh.
which was probably a season back in about 2008. Some other names from there. You're going to get some real GP2 blast from the past here. Tom Blomqvist,
Oh, yes.
Alex Lynn,
Oh,
Tim
yes.
Stoneman, Sergio Sete Camara,
Wow.
Vashaw.
Are you just reading the Formula E grid?
Sergio Sete Camara went to McLaren, didn't he? He was
Yes.
McLaren reserve
Yes.
driver, and was he McLaren Formula E for a while?
Yes.
He
Until
was Formula E.
Current season.
He was
Right.
Dan Ticktum's teammate at one of the bad teams.
Yeah, and Alex Lynn, he was at Williams for a while, but never
Yeah.
quite broke to Formula One.
Again, Formula E he ended up in, upside down.
Yes.
Antonio Felix da Costa.
Again, should have made it to Formula One, but there was just no room for him.
Ended up in Formula E.
Daniel Juncadella.
Oh, yes.
Oh God, yes. There's
Is
a
now at Aston Martin. He's now testing for Aston Martin.
Yeah.
He'll be alongside Gary Paffett in the Young Drivers Test.
Lewis Leeds or Louis Leeds. I think it's Lewis Leeds, who Have you heard of
This is an entirely unfamiliar name.
You just want him to be totally elbowsy and a bit of a Maldonado, just so you can call him Dirty Leeds.
I interviewed him. He's the world's shortest man. He is one of the people who qualified for the story that we were talking about before we pressed record.
I don't think it was him propositioning me.
Would be weird.
He might have been. That would also qualify for Dirty Leeds.
They also had, funny enough, between 2018 and 2021, they had Jack Doohan.
Yes.
Yes, because it was a big shock when he turned up at Alpine, because Red Bull...
I think that was actually his choice as well. I think he chose to jump ship.
Yeah, because Red Bull were making such a big thing out of him all the way through sort of junior categories and lower formulas, and then all of a sudden it's like, hang on a minute, why's he gone all Alpine?
I understand. Red Bull have said I've signed a contract for next year. This is not true. Did he do one of those?
I don't think it was one of those. I think there was a little bit more decorum to it, but yeah.
With his dad?
Maybe that's it. Maybe
His
Mick
dad
just
is
turned up
also
and said,
small.
"We're off to Alpine. See ya," and that was the end of the conversation.
Yeah. Small but fiery.
Patricio Award, Pato, was in 2019. Jehan Deruvla, Jack
Now
Crawford.
the Pato Award one was weird because he was only on the Red Bull Junior program for about 2 or 3 months, because they signed him and stuck him in Super Formula, and he didn't get on with the car, so they just binned him completely. And McLaren went, "Yeah, all right, we'll have him."
Yeah,
Well-
and that went down quite well, I'd say.
Yeah.
So of all these drivers that Red Bull and the program have gotten rid of, we're pretty sure the favourite for the seat by a wide margin is Liam Lawson, but with a small potential for Yuki Tsunoda. Helmut Marko actually did have some good things to say about Yuki in the post-season test. Apparently, his feedback is usually not great for the RB team. They're like, yeah, he doesn't give us great feedback, but his feedback to the Red Bull engineers was considered excellent. So, I mean, I do know that in some young driver tests, what they'll do is they'll set the car up a certain way, or they'll set something so that it unbalances the car a little bit, and they'll wait to see how long it takes a driver to work it out. Like, well, hang on a second, my rear suspension's far too soft. I'm bouncing all over the place here. What's going on? It's something along those lines. But rather, if the driver goes out and goes, "Yeah, this feels amazing," then they're not really feeling the car. They're not doing their job. They're just enjoying the drive. But so Yuki obviously had that presence when he did the Red Bull test in Abu Dhabi to give that feedback. Maybe he was trying really hard because he really wanted that seat ahead of Liam. Yeah. But I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if Yuki is now, also looking at other options, because if he can't go with Honda to Aston Martin in any form, then he needs to get out of that, because he's been overlooked now.
Yeah.
If Lawson stinks this season, Tsunoda's not jump into that car. They'll bring back Perez. They'll get Isaac Hadjar. They'll bring back Carter Kayan. They'll do something.
Carter Kayan.
Doesn't seem like it's going to be Yuki Tsunoda.
And I think Yuki Tsunoda would say no.
78 people have been dropped by the Red Bull Driver Academy before they've made it to F1. Only 3 of those 78 have further made it to F1 with a different program, and that is Carter Kayan, Chandok, and Jack Doohan.
Lorraine Carter Kayan with HRT. Karun Chandok with Lotus Caterham.
Wasn't Carter Kayan with Jordan before he was with HRT?
He had something before HRT.
He was, yeah.
He was in the famous 6th finish in US Grand Prix.
He was, yeah. He was in with Jordan. You're quite right. Yeah.
The Red Bull Driver Search was an American one-off series run from 2002 to 2005 in parallel with the Red Bull Junior team. Its aim was to search for the future F1 American F1 champion. The winner was
Scott
Scott
Speed.
Scott Speed.
And that's why that was a one-off.
I mean, Brad Pitt has had more success in F1 than anything that the Red Bull American Driver of the Future program has found. He's certainly had more podiums.
But we know he has a big crash as well, don't we?
Yeah, he's a bit prone to fainting.
God, I don't want to see it.
Oh, I do, but I don't want to watch it sober.
It is 100% going to be terrible. I'm very excited.
It's going to be the kind of film where you want Mystery Science Theater 3000 to rip it to pieces. It's a
I
film.
was watching the trailer with intrepidation until he said that the car had to be built for battle, and then my brows furrowed.
Battle bots.
I mean, you didn't like their battle forecast?
I was I was confused. There was not that in your local pub, Kieran. That scene.
Yeah.
I was perplexed, I think, was the term I used at the time.
I think the only reason we're going to go see it at the cinema is to see how much of the globe is in the film. Just to rep the pub. We'll be the ones in the cinema. Well, for a start, we'll be the only ones in the cinema. But we will be the ones who are bigging up the pub more than the film. As soon as they leave the pub, straight to the car park. Out.
Or straight to the pub.
I do want to watch it, but I do think it's going to be bad.
I think what we need to do is when it finally comes out, we'll have to do a cinema night and then dissect it in the pub, and bring some form of recording device with us and do an immediate review straight after.
Yes.
What is its launch date, and am I in the country?
It's not until it's June, July-ish, I think.
It is the 25th of June, which I think is festival weekend.
Maybe you can talk the promoters into putting it on the big screen there.
Yeah. Man kicked out of Isle of Wight Festival forever. Yeah, Wednesday the 25th of June is actually after the festival. I will fly straight from Southampton.
That coincides with the week of the Austrian Grand Prix.
So there will be many confused people at the Austrian Grand Prix wondering where Brad Pitt is.
Possibly.
Yes. Yeah, I am looking forward to it. If there is a chance of getting my hands on a pre-release copy, then it gets watched. Then it gets watched the hell out of, and we don't have to go to the pictures.
So what? So
I don't think a big advert for "please give us a pre-release copy" is "save us from a trip to the cinema."
We don't want to spend money on your product, so please send it to us.
No, the cinema. Both cinemas over here are shit.
You can all come down to the whatever IMAX we have in Milton Keynes. Get the full F1 experience. Watch it in Milton Keynes.
I mean,
We do leave after the pub scene, though. Sorry about that.
Unlike one of our cinemas over here, do all the seats actually face the screen at that one?
Oh no! You have a wonky cinema?
Well, it's a lecture theatre, isn't it? Really?
Yeah. So yeah, all the seats at the side are kind of focused in towards the middle, so you've got to sort of twist yourself at a weird angle to see the whole screen.
Brilliant. The Leicester Square Theatre in London's a bit like that. We got side seats to see Richard Herring's podcast with James Acaster, and we had to crook our neck slightly at a dodgy angle just to see the stage. Hit forward, but you look to your left.
Well, if it's a podcast, all you needed to do was listen to it.
That's a good point, yeah. I'm the mug, admittedly. It was the same day that England beat Iran in the World Cup, so I think Jane and I were a number of beers deep. It was like a Monday at 1 p.m.
I do like the Richard Herring podcast, and then again, I like Richard Herring because he's a York City fan.
Ah, one of your people.
One of my people. Do we have anything more to say about Checo?
No.
That's broadcastable.
We all think it's going to be Lawson because it sounds like they've been told it's going to be Lawson, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
There was a BBC article about this from Andrew Benson, and what he said was very interesting. He said that Perez has been sacked, basically, but Lawson was told on the weekend of the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix before any racing had commenced.
Mm.
So that he was going to get the seat, according to the BBC and Andrew Benson.
I mean, that
Yuki Tsunoda test was pointless.
Mm.
Yeah.
And Chris Medland put on social media, I think about 5 minutes before Checo's tweet or Insta or whatever it was he put out, that they had agreed a severance situation, but they hadn't agreed who was going to announce it. So whether or not Checo just decided he was announcing it, not quite sure.
Have Red Bull officially announced it?
They did, but like they were uncomfortably a few minutes after Perez.
Ooh.
Like just long enough to knock up a graphic amount of time.
I think what had happened was it was decided in the last 2 weeks worth of discussions about whether he keeps his seat or not. It's like, no, what are the financials?
Mm-hmm. How much do you want to go away?
God. Jane downstairs is watching, and God help her, Michael McIntyre's 25th anniversary special. I thought I loved this woman. And she's messaged me saying, some famous faces in the audience, as you'd expect. And then this one. And it's George Russell.
Oh. Just
God.
Quickly, Chris says he's been kicked backstage.
He's back in the room.
I'm back in.
He's back in the room now. I did see it. And
this is good.
he had his webcam switched
I don't know
on.
what happened.
I don't know, but your webcam switched on. You were looking very concerned.
I was upset. I don't know. No, I didn't do anything. It just literally just like, and you're backstage. Oh, okay.
I'm going to have to have another look at this bloody software. Right, I think it's the return of an old favourite feature with a new name. As there isn't a total shunt anymore, I think we need to... because we've had a lot of people asking, when's the quiz coming back? And I think I can answer right now. But
Excellent.
we've got a choice of names. I'm going to put this to a vote between the three of you.
Mm-hmm.
We have got the rather clumsy and careless, who the bloody hell's that then? Yeah, kind of works. I mean, it does what it says on the tin. Or an idea that I had earlier, is that Glock?
Is that Glock?
I quite like Is That Glock?
Yeah.
I like Is That Glock?
Which tells me that at some point it probably is going to be Glock.
Well, it was usually Lightning McQueen.
Chris, you're going to have to sing the Is That Glock theme tune now, of course.
Is that Glock? Is that Glock? No, wait, we can't do this.
Yeah. What rhymes with Glock? Oh, no!
Right, so our
It
first...
can't be Is That Glock without James Allen exploding after it. Yes!
Kieran, you're the sound clip guy.
Oh, I don't have that one. I've taken off all my comedy things, and sadly, now in the recycling bin of the Rodecaster Pro is my Greg Wallace collection.
It's probably for the best.
Yeah.
Where his
Posting Christmas stuff.
That's where his career's gone.
Yeah.
Right, this week's Is That Glock comes from Michael Gutland, who I hope is still listening to the show because he sent this in to me 3 years ago.
He's a patient man.
I've been trolling the archives. If anybody wants to provide a round, drop us an email 3legs4wheels@gmail.com and put the title Is That Glock, and then we'll be able to do it. Same rules as before. 10 questions and a spaffer. And of course, it has to start like this one does, with clue number 1. I was born
Excellent.
Yay.
in 1962.
Ooh, not Glock.
It's not Glock. That'll be the next sound effect we have to put in.
Yeah.
So 62, probably 62, because we're so close to the end of the year.
Mhm.
So yeah. Born in 62, also aged 62.
Or when he wrote this, 59.
Technically, yes.
Yes.
Before entering Formula One, I won a major open wheel championship.
Many people do.
Okay.
And clue number 3, we'll go for a guess after this one. I had a flying start to my Formula One career, which also finished on a high.
So
Marcus Winkelhock.
is that a pun? Flying start in his first
Yes.
race?
It feels like
died.
someone's had a big crash, doesn't
Sorry,
it?
that's not a guess. That's the answer to what rhymes with Glock.
Oh, okay. You've just been mulling that over the first
No,
3 clues.
No. I mean, Marcus Winkelhock might be the answer because also he did get off to a flying start in that he led his first ever race.
Yeah.
But also, I don't think it was an amazing finish, unless that was also his only race.
It was his only race.
I don't think
Well,
he's
there you
quite
go.
that old
Oh,
either.
all right, okay. I've got the lyrics for you. So, is that Glock? Is that Glock? Is it him or Winkelhock?
Yeah, exactly.
Wow.
Yeah. So Marcus Winkelhock, he's in the lead. It's his only race. Is that Spiker, Jordan Midland? What's his face?
Can we get some form of guess, or is that your guess?
Well, he would have been. So Winkelhock would have been what, like 40 something then. So it's not him, is it?
It's probably not him, no.
62. If we're looking at F1 career, if you were born in the early 60s, generally you started when you were late 20s, early 30s.
Yeah, so we're looking at
by then early
looking at-
90s.
Yeah.
yeah.
Who
which is-
drove the Leighton house that went over? Was that Guggenheim or whatever his name was?
Yeah, Googleman, yeah, Gugelmin.
Guggenheim.
Yeah, Jean Pierre. I can't
That
remember.
would have been around his time.
That was a flying start, though, wasn't it? Let's be honest. Yeah. Was it Jean Pierre Gugelmin? I can't remember his name.
His name was something like Maurizio Gugelmin.
I'm not
don't
familiar with
think-
Mr. Gujarin.
Mr. Gujarin.
I can't offer any help.
Oh, Gugers.
Goosh, the
I
goosh.
don't know. I don't know where he. Yeah, Gugelmin. I don't know where he was from either, so that doesn't help. Yeah. I might be. No, wait. I'm getting him confused with Jean. No. Anyway, carry on.
It was Maurizio Gugelmin you were thinking of.
Excellent.
So Kieran was right. Maurizio. Yeah.
Right. Okay, we shall bank that one and see how that goes at the end. Before entering Formula One, I was teammates with a world champion.
Okay.
Before entering Formula One, I was teammates with a world champion.
It's going to be in Formula 3 or something, isn't it?
Yeah.
Suspicious.
Clue number 5. After I joined Formula One, my previous race seat was taken by a world champion.
Oh.
After I joined Formula One, my previous race seat was taken by a world champion.
By an existing world champion or a world
Interesting.
champion to be.
It just says by a world champion.
Because if he come from like, a Le Mans seat and then someone who had done it in F1 and was heading off to Le Mans had taken the seat, like a PK or someone, not PK, but someone like that, then that would make a little bit of sense. But
Clue number 6. Don't want to guess after this one because clues 4 to 7 are all kind of similar. So, clue number 6.
Okay.
During my time in Formula One, I was teammates with a world champion.
okay, so early 90s. Who was PK's teammate at Lotus before he retired?
Did he retire at Lotus, did he?
Was it Lotus or Brabham, was it?
Brabham, I think he was at before, as when he retired, possibly.
Who was his teammate?
Wait, is it David Brabham?
That
Because
would
David
Good.
That is an
Damon Hill.
interesting shout.
David Brabham was Damon Hill's teammate at Brabham for the British Grand Prix in 92. Yeah, maybe.
Horrible.
And
Well, I'll give you clue 7, and we'll do a guess after this one because this may help.
My dad won 3 world championships.
Upon leaving Formula One, I was replaced by a future world champion.
Oh, so it won't be David Brabham then, because he left and so did the team.
yeah, he went. I think he briefly drove for Simtech, David Brabham.
Oh yeah, good point. Well, no one. Yeah, a world champion didn't replace him at Simtac, I guess.
No. Sorry, can you repeat number 7 again, Paul?
Yeah, number 7. Upon leaving Formula One, I was replaced by a future world champion.
Can I be a pain in the ass and ask for 427, if that's all right?
So yeah, before entering Formula One, I was teammates with the world champion. After I joined Formula One, my previous race seat was taken by a world champion. During my time in Formula One, I was teammates with a world champion. And upon leaving Formula One, I was replaced by a future world champion.
Oh, my head hurts.
Yeah, too many world champions.
Potentially Mika Hakkinen, although I think Hakkinen's younger than that.
Where did Hakkinen start? Did he start at Lotus?
Hakkinen started at Lotus in 92 and then went to McLaren by accident when Andretti was no good and became Senna's teammate at McLaren.
Would he potentially have raced with PK at Lotus?
Maybe.
No, Lotus 91? That's too early for Mick Hakkinen, isn't it?
I don't know if he was 91, 92 when Hakkinen joined. Mika Hakkinen might be all right, but then he would have nearly been 40 when he retired, and that's not correct, I don't think. I think Hakkinen was still in his early 30s when he retired.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, that wouldn't make any sense, retiring at 39 for Mika Hakkinen. Yeah, he's too young.
Don't forget, Hakkinen retired a year after he stopped driving.
I hate to play.
He's never formally retired, has he?
Yeah, so he's not on a sabbatical.
Oh yeah, he still is, isn't he?
Yeah. Still playing his guitar by the river.
Riding his unicycle.
Yeah, you saw that. Yeah.
I hate to be the person who comes to a game show and says this, but it's much easier when you play along at home. It's usually Tiago Montero by now.
Is that your token guess because you stumped for anything else?
Oh no, I don't know. Who was Lacey's teammate at Tyrrell? Martin Brundle? No.
Lacey was Ferrari from 92 onwards.
Doesn't work, does it?
He made his debut in 89 or 90. I can't remember.
Yeah.
But again, he led a Grand Prix very early in his career.
Oh yeah, the was it
US Grand Prix at Detroit? I think it was.
Yeah.
I think it was Detroit. Might have been Phoenix. I can't remember.
And in his final race in Japan, he flew over Kimi Räikkönen, didn't he?
He did.
Flying high finish. What was the? Can I have clue number 2 again, please, Paul?
Before entering Formula One, I won a major open wheel championship.
I think it was clue number 1.
I was born in 1960.
No, not that one then. No.
I had a flying start to my Formula One career, and my Formula One career also finished on a high.
Finished high.
I
don't
high.
know if this is, a cryptic crossword.
Finished high, like double N. Finished high.
Yes.
Tempted.
An attempt at making toast backwards under the sea, we think, maybe. How the hell do you get plug socket from that?
Dave Gorman sometimes does cryptic crosswords, and he'll say, "Oh, today's cryptic crossword in the Independent was written by me." And I load the link, and I go, "Oh no." I prefer the Google Wax stuff. Yeah, I don't know who to guess. I'm tempted by Shauna Lacey, but I don't know.
I think he's too young still. 62. I don't know. I don't
That
think
would
he's
be
quite that
retiring
old.
in 2001 again, wouldn't it? He would have been 38, 39 when he retired. So yeah, that's maybe wrong as well.
Yeah, maybe.
Shall we move on?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. I currently employ a former F1 driver, not a world champion.
Fucking hell.
Whittle it
Currently
down.
employ.
Like, just some initials would help.
Okay.
Try to think of any.
Cool story, bro.
try to think of any F1 drivers with the
Okay,
initials.
well, the
Okay.
initials.
Why would a former F1 driver be employing another former F1 driver?
Well,
If they
unless
were in
Martin
media, I was
Brundle
thinking-
employing David Coulthard, you know.
Yeah, I was thinking
It's
that
not
this
Brundle.
Coulthard employs Mark Webber, but then
Too young.
Mm.
Too
yeah,
young.
we're looking at two drivers who are too young there.
Yeah. I currently employ a former F1 driver, brackets not a world champion. I mean, there are
I added the not a world champion just to.
I see, that was your little ad lib, was it?
Thank you.
But it could be a world champion.
It isn't. Next clue. My racing colour was silver.
Oh, car or helmet or trophy?
My racing colour was silver. So McLaren raced in silver famously in the late 90s. That was Coulthard and Hakkinen. But we've already determined that both of the drivers were too young. So are we looking at the Pacific Formula One team of the mid-early 90s? So we're looking at Giovanni Lavaggi.
Oh, no.
Whoa.
Who else drove for them?
Pierluigi Martini?
Oh, possibly Pierluigi Martini, Giovanni Lavaggi. God, it was horrible. It was silver with pink and blue highlights.
Ooh, lovely.
Kind of like an Alpine.
Or your nan's hair.
Oh, wow.
Oh, who were the other drivers that? Well, Roberto Moreno was not. Roberto Moreno was in the bright yellow 40.
Yeah.
Which was also its top speed.
Yes, it was. Yeah. Completely sponsored by Parmalat. No thanks to Pedro Diniz. I can't think of the name of the other drivers who drove for Pacific.
What about old pepper spray in the eye man?
Bertrand Gachot.
Because he's
I think,
hasn't he?
yes, I think Bertrand Gachot may have driven for Pacific at some point.
Maybe he's a shout.
Yeah,
But
maybe.
then, his teammate was Schumacher.
And he
world
was replaced. Well, no, he was replaced by a world champion because he did that, and then Schumacher had to replace him. So Bertrand Gachot would work quite well. Although his racing color being silver, that's a little bit tenuous because like he raced in other colors as well.
Was it a cop car? Was the cop car?
So I think we're potentially zeroing in on
Bertrand
Yeah.
Gachot.
Bertrand
Yes.
Gachot.
Bertrand Gachot, yeah, possibly.
Would you
It's the
like?
next-
Would you like a
like-
spaffer?
Yeah,
Yeah,
why not?
probably.
I earned a reputation for terrible luck at the biggest race of the year, and this has proven to be hereditary.
Oh.
Wow.
Well, unless
this is-
little Buddy Gachot has had trouble at the 1991 Belgian Grand Prix, it doesn't work. Back to square one then.
Hereditary.
Is this going to be an Andretti then? Because they always cock up at the Indy 500.
Was
That-
his car?
what-
Would his colour have been silver?
No, Michael Andretti. I mean, his helmet might have been silver in '93.
What about Christian Fittipaldi? He had a flying start in the fact that he went over. He went upside down, didn't he, across the line?
Yes, he did.
No hereditary bad luck in the Fittipaldi family, apart from Pietro breaking his wrist in the F2. Or Enzo, one of them.
And Wilson designing a terrible car.
Yeah. And the other one taking Grosjean's seat after he burst into flames.
And Emerson looking like that.
Oh,
Just because his nose is the same size as Sonoda.
I didn't say everything. I just said he looks the way he looks.
you mean his nose is the same size as the whole of Yuki Tsunoda, don't you?
Not at all.
Oh, that's really stumped me. Hereditary.
The biggest race of the year, it's got to be Michael Andretti.
They do have the Andretti curse at the Indy 500.
Yeah.
That is a
I can only
thing.
think that Michael Andretti's helmet was silver when he was racing for McLaren in '93. Although he'd have been 31.
No.
He was teammate with Senna. Yeah, he was replaced by a future world champion, Mika Hakkinen.
Yeah.
I don't know who he win. He must have won an open wheel series in the US. I'm guessing before that. This is why I don't talk American sports.
Can we have your final guess, please?
Thank you for it.
I don't think I'm going to be able to offer anything better than Michael Andretti.
No, I thought we were quite hot with Bertrand Gachot, but clearly not.
Phrases that have never been said.
Good point.
Yeah, let's go with Michael Andretti.
Okay. I am not Timo Glock. I am Michael Andretti.
Yay.
Yes.
Yay!
Good job, team.
Flying start to the F1 career. Crashed at Brazil on his debut.
Excellent.
And finished on a high podium in his last race. Before entering Formula One, teammates with a world champion, his dad.
Oh, okay.
After he joined Formula One, his previous race seat was taken at Green Andretti Racing or something by Nigel Mansell.
Okay.
Teammates with Ayrton Senna, replaced by Mika Hakkinen. Currently employs a former Formula One driver, not a champion, Marcus Ericsson.
Of course.
Oh.
His helmet colour was silver.
Ah, there we go. That's where the silver comes into it.
And, as Sean pointed out, the Andretti curse.
Excellent. Good work, team. We got there in the end.
Well done.
You did. The quiz returns with a tick in the win column.
Now I have to look at the Wikipedia page for Pacific Grand Prix.
You're going to find out that none of the drivers we name raced for them.
So, as I said earlier, if you want to send in a "Is it Glock?" Now you know the rules, and if you've been listening for more than a year, you should know them anyway by now. Drop us an email, threelegs4wheels@gmail.com. You can also get in touch with us there for anything in particular, any comments, any pulling me up about my occasionally faulty knowledge on American sport. threelegs4wheels.com for the website, and at 3legs4wheels on all the socials except Blue Sky, where we are 3legs4wheels.com. And individually, our social type handles are
At Sean Cowper.
At Flood21.
At Kieran is boring.
and at Pablo100. Right, we'll be back sometime round about the new year with our 2024 season review. Have a fantastic Christmas if you're listening to this before Christmas, and hope you had an amazing Christmas if you're listening to it after. If you want to support the show, patreon.com/3legs4wheels. You can donate there, get the shows ad-free and a little bit early, and we'll have to do another Patreon special at some point soon.
Yes.
Because we are 2 Thick Rick books behind.
Oh.
And we have had requests.
Before we go, Paul Belmondo, Bertrand Gachot, Giovanni Lavargi.
They were so bad it's killed Chris's internet.
Someone with a digital hook round his neck.
There's someone at the door.
And there's somebody at the front door. Right, have a great Christmas, and we will
after Christmas, you'll find out the rest of the Pacific drivers.
We'll see you at some point soon. Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye.